not cutting but untying. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Good morning, good morning. I am so sorry for all of the difficulties that we are having this morning with the equipment, the technical difficulties, but well, it seems like everybody has decided to leave. Okay. I am back. I'm going to give it a little time to just see if others are going to come on and come back to the broadcast. I cannot apologize enough. Just seemed like the whole system decided that it wanted to go offline and wasn't able to get on. Hello. Antoinette, good to see you. Hello. Is the sound okay? I've been having some problems with the sound as well. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? If you can, please put something in the comments that'll let me know that you can hear. You can hear me clearly. Can you hear me? And that's making me kind of feel like you don't, because nobody's commenting that you can hear me. If you can hear me, please put it in the comments. Oh, okay. I guess the comments are just coming up really slow. Good. Again, I apologize for the difficulties with the technology here. It's just like when it's working, it's working. But when it decides that it's not going to work, it is just not going to work. And so I had to do some scrambling real quick to try and fix the connections and get everything up and running again. And I'm glad that we were able to do so. I'm going to give a little bit more time for those who were on before and exited, and to be able to return and join us for this conversation this morning. Good to see you. Hey, Kayla, good to see you. And then we'll dive into the conversation this morning, no matter how many people are here. Hey, Diana, good to see you on with us as well. Those of you who are on right now, you do me a favor, take a moment and share this broadcast. We are not broadcasting live on Facebook, but for those of you who are still on Facebook, you can click the share button and copy the link and then share it on your Facebook page. And then that way, those who are on Facebook can tune in live here as we're streaming on YouTube. You can also send that link out in your group chat and to all of your friends and loved ones and invite them to come and be a part of the conversation as well. So I invite you to do so at this moment. Click that button. Also hit the like button on this video that's streaming here on YouTube. It helps the algorithm. It helps us in expanding and growing the platform. So if you would please do that. Diana, you are silly. She's like, the devil is busy in the new year. No, I need to upgrade my equipment in this new year. That I really need to upgrade. I really do. Working on that as we speak to try and get that done. But yeah, hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification button, the little bell there in the corner. That way you'll always be notified when we're on. And if you really want to stay in tune, then sign up for the free text notifications so that you'll always have that information at your hand. We'll send out a text whenever we're getting ready to come on the air so that you can always participate and always be a part of these conscious conversations. Today's conversation is going to be really, really good. I think that it's a necessary one. It aligns itself with what we understand prophetically is taking place in the months of January and February. We spoke in our last empowerment session about what those 2 months, the energy that would be present for awakening and becoming conscious of our unconscious parts of ourselves by doing the interior work that is necessary to unmask, uncover, reveal, and then recover those hidden parts of ourselves that are hidden for various different reasons. And so that energy is prevalent. It is the prevailing energy of the months of January and February. And so I thought that we would come on this morning and have a little conversation centered around soul cleansing, the things that we can do to cleanse our soul, the mechanisms and spiritual practices that are involved in that, so that we can become more consciously aware of ourself, our truest and highest version of ourself. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, help my voice a little bit maybe. This microphone is so sensitive, I can hear myself swallow. Okay, so that's what we're going to center our conversation around this morning. There is a spiritual principle that's found in a text in the Bible. It's in 2 Corinthians chapter 7. It's the very first verse that talks about us cleansing ourselves, ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and the spirit, cleansing the outer and the inner. It's what it's talking about. And now this has been, of course, misconceived and misconstrued and manipulated within the religious circles to try and, guilt people about certain behaviors and other things. But it's really about self-reflection. This verse is really talking about self-reflection and dealing with those hidden parts of ourselves, those secret parts of ourselves, those interior parts of ourselves that we may not be fully consciously aware of, but those things have a definite effect on how we matriculate and move through this three-dimensional experience that we call life. And so I want to take some time and kind of discuss and explore those unconscious parts of our being that have such an influence on our conscious life that we are living in the earth. I want to really take advantage of the prevailing energy that is at work and at play globally in the months of January and February for introspection, for looking inward and becoming more consciously aware of every part of our being. That we are, we understand that we are all individuations divinely expressing the all of everything that is divinely expressing God. That we are all individual expressions of the one God, that we all emanate from God, and that we are individualized in these three-dimensional forms, God in the flesh, so that it gives God the opportunity to experience and express itself in three-dimensional form, uniquely across all of the iterations of life and throughout every part of the multiverse, that it is able to experience and express itself uniquely. Since everything emanates from God and is connected to God, then it clearly says that all of us as individual, unique expressions of the divine, of the all of everything, we are all connected and one with God. But we are not just connected, we are interconnected. We are connected with the one God that we all emanate from and serve as a vehicle of expression and experience for, but we are interconnected because we are all coming from the same source. So each person, and you've heard me say this several times before historically, is that you never really meet anyone new. What you are meeting is a different version or expression of yourself, because we are all coming from that one spirit, one soul, individualized in three-dimensional form, expressing and experiencing itself in a unique way in the earth. So I am encountering different versions of myself with every person that I encounter and everything that I encounter as well. That I am seeing a different expression, a unique and different expression and experience of the one in a different form. I am experiencing that when I see other people. And so we are, that interconnection then says that while I am consciously aware of the experiences and expressions in most cases that I am having in this form, I am not always, or in most times, in most cases, unconscious of the experience and expression that I am having in the various forms of me that exists in this three-dimensional plane, in other times and spaces across the multiverse. That you've heard me speak before about that one aspect of our divinity of being omnipresent, meaning that God is in every place at all times. There is no place that God is not. And since I am one with God, there is no place that I am not. And so what people most often speak of in terms of soul travel or moving through time travel or dimensional travel is really more literally becoming consciously aware of yourself in the different times and spaces that you exist as a connected and interconnected part of the one God. And if at any point that I am speaking too quickly or moving on too quickly and you have a question, please, as always, put it in the comments and I will address whatever questions that you have. I'm just kind of trying to lay some groundwork for the conversation this morning. This interconnection allows us then to have multiple experiences throughout the multiverse in different times and spaces, but that we are not always consciously aware of those experiences or even our existence in those times and spaces. When we focus our attention on detoxifying the soul, cleansing the soul, when we are focusing on doing the interior work to look inward and become more consciously aware of the soul's experience, expression, and existence in every form and space, it means a peeling back of the onion of those things that our conscious mind has covered, blocked, and keep us from being consciously aware of in this present place. And so we are this detoxifying or this soul cleansing is facilitated by a few spiritual practices. One is shadow work, and many of you have heard this terminology before, but you may not really fully understand it. So we're going to talk about it a little bit today. Meditation, I know that you're familiar with that. We've spent a lot of time talking about meditation as well. And then affirmative prayer. These are the three spiritual practices that we really want to hone down in on and focus on, because they are the most effective in soul cleansing. So we're going to talk about shadow work, affirmative prayer, and meditation this morning. There is a historical writer who kind of gave birth to the whole, well, didn't really give birth to, but kind of made it more popularized the idea of shadow work. His name is Carl Jung. You can find a lot of different writings by him if you can go look on Amazon or in audiobooks and other things of this sort. But he makes the statement that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I want you to listen to that again. I'm going to repeat it again. This is a quote from Carl Jung. It's powerful. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, meaning the unconscious will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You'll call it fate or life. Life just happens. Can I tell you this? Nothing just happens. Our life is not a series of accidents, incidences, and coincidences. Our life is the universe responding to us. I'll say that again. Our life consists of the universe responding to us. Because we are a divine expression of the all of everything, everything that exists in the universe, everything that exists in nature is designed to serve us. And the universe's responsibility, nature's responsibility, or life's responsibility is to give us a three-dimensional representation of who we choose to be in this iteration of life. Who we choose to be is not based just upon our conscious decision, but also the unconscious. That energy undergirds or becomes the support or the foundation for our most dominant thought. And so when we talk about soul cleansing, doing this interior work, we are talking about unearthing, uncovering, revealing those things that have become so innate in our unconscious thought that we think of them as second nature. And those dominant, those unconscious thoughts or beliefs, ideas, or concepts create a conscious thought that informs our thoughts, words, and deeds. We know that what that is. That's the process of creation. And then that creates the experience that we are having in this three-dimensional form. And so the universe and all of nature by design now is obligated to give us a three-dimensional experience of what it is that we have held or continue to hold as our most dominant thought. And so it's not random. You are not having random experiences. You are not having coincidental experiences. You are not having accidental encounters. Everything is a reflection of what's taking place within you. Remember the divine law that our outer world of form and experience is a reflection of our inner world of thought and feeling. And what we have spent a great deal of time talking about, for the most part, in conscious circles, is about what we consciously think of, what we are consciously aware of floating around in our conscious thought. Today, when we talk about soul cleansing, we are talking about, yes, Carl Jung. You spell his last name with a J, not a Y, though. It's C-A-R-L. That's Carl Jung, J-U-N-G. Theresa's absent. She's saying that I am familiar with Carl Jung. Yes. He's really he was so insightful and a giant in this particular area, I think. And so the statement that he makes, which is so profound, and I think really kind of sums up the whole need for interior reflection, for shadow work, is that statement of until you make the unconscious conscious, it will dictate your life, and you will call it fate or accident or coincidence or just life happening to me. But we understand that nothing happens to me. Everything happens for me. And I'm going to extend that statement now to say, not only does it happen for me, but it happens because of me. Yeah, okay. I want you to, I know that, take a deep breath and take that in. It not only happens for me to serve me, but it happens because of me, as a result of me. That every experience and every expression and every encounter that I am having in three-dimensional form is a result of me, my conscious as well as unconscious thoughts or knowings or beliefs or ideologies, those things that lie beneath the surface that have never been unearthed, uncovered, and revealed, yet they tend to continue to inform our choices and our conscious thoughts, our words, and our deeds. Some words that are tossed around to talk about this is about trauma. We use the terminology trauma, that these traumas have an effect on how we think. And that is absolutely true. Absolutely. But it is very limiting if you think that it is only about trauma, because it is not just about trauma. It is about the multiple experiences and encounters that you have had and are having across every iteration of life and across the multiverse in every time and space. Remember that you are an infinitely divine being existing in every place and space simultaneously, that it is not a linear existence but more a spiral existence. And so all of these things are taking place at the same time, and all of them, if you think like a funnel, are all coming down through the funnel, and you being the conduit through which all of those experiences are flushed through and given expression in our three-dimensional life. It's the sum. That's really good. Kimoria says the total sum of our being. She said my being, but it is the total sum of our being. Okay. And I cannot stress this enough, that it is not just about the traumas because that is what most times people focus on, especially when you start talking about shadow work or doing interior work. They focus on the traumatic, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You absolutely should unearth those things that are born out of trauma, but don't limit yourself to just the traumatic. The deeper level of understanding your truest and highest self is recognizing that I am now opening my conscious mind to comprehend and embrace my experience across the multiverse, throughout every space and time, and across every iteration of life. And so understanding that creates a much broader spectrum from which I'm able to draw, and makes me more consciously aware of my beingness. And in doing so, then it unearths and makes me more aware and gives me more capacity to access the divine omnipotence that exists as me, in me, through me, and as me, to be able to now more deliberately and intentionally create the life and the reality that I desire. We all live in the matrix of the reality that we create. We all live in the matrix of the reality that we create. We all live in the matrix of the reality that we create, whether consciously or unconsciously. Again, we've given a great deal of attention to conscious creation, conscious manifestation. But what we want to focus on, especially during these 2 months where this energy is so prevalent and so intensified, is the unconscious creation and manifestation that we are experiencing in life. Okay? Let me pose it like this. Have you thought about, those of you who are spiritual practitioners, have you thought about, thought to yourself, okay, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm making these confessions, these affirmations, and, I'm doing all of these things that align themselves with manifesting and using the law of attraction to do this, that, and the other. And yet I keep having these reoccurring experiences that don't align with what it is that I am trying to intentionally manifest, or I am not getting the results that I really desire and want to see manifested in my life. It's like, okay, I'm doing what you said as far as the law of attraction and the law of circulation and the law of compensation and all of these other universal laws, but I'm still not getting the immediate results that I desire, because you are only focused on the conscious and not the unconscious, that which is light, and rather than that which is in the darkness. That we have both polarities existing at one, at simultaneously within us. We are both light and darkness, conscious and unconscious. Let me say that again, that we are not just all light. We are both light and darkness, conscious and unconscious. And so what shadow work does is allow us to enter, venture, and travel through the darkness and bring that darkness to the light, so that we are able then to direct that darkness, transmute that energy into form that serves us. Are you understanding what I'm saying? That we go beyond just the conscious awareness of the thoughts, words, and deeds that are creating, intending to create rather an experience and an expression, but understanding the undergirding foundational unconscious knowings, thought that exist within us that are informing, in many cases, our conscious decisions and choices. Are you guys following what I'm saying? Okay, we are all individuations of God and soul, uniquely expressing the all of everything. We are therefore connected and interconnected, and we all share a collective consciousness. And a part of this system of existence is the light and the shadow, or the light and the darkness. We are both light and darkness. The conscious part of our minds, then, that can be seen and understood is represented as, of course, light. That is the light. But the unconscious part of our mind, as well as the unconscious part of our mind, it can be thought of as the dark or the shadow. And in this shadow dwells, in most cases, the undergirding foundational thought and knowing that informs the conscious or the light. It informs the light. Remember the text that I quoted to you guys from the scriptures that say that darkness came out, that light rather came out of darkness. That light does not dispel darkness, but light comes out of the darkness. That darkness gives birth to light. That the unconscious gives birth to the conscious. That the underlying is the foundation, the substratum that brings forward into conscious awareness that which we give our attention and deliberate actions to. Stored within our unconscious mind is every encounter. Listen to this. Stored within our unconscious mind is every encounter and every experience and every expression that we have had or are having. There really is no had, because we understand that time isn't linear, but I'll use that terminology to make it easier to understand, that we have ever had or are having or will have. It is all stored within the unconscious or the underlying foundational substratum of our thinking. It is there from every experience and every encounter across every iteration of life and throughout the multiverse. The unconscious knowing influences and informs our conscious choices. Thereby, it begins to shape our lived experience in this consciousness. Okay, let's go. Thank you, Maria. I hope so. Theresa, that's a good question. She said, would you say that darkness is considered a veil? Yes, that's one way of definitely looking at it. I don't usually try and use that terminology because there's so much negativity that has been attached to it. From religion, but it really is kind of like a veil or a covering, or like I said, like peeling back the layers of an onion, so that you're able to get to the core of what's really going on. Because religious people have given this connotation to a veil as though, it's something dark, mysterious, and evil and wicked. When it's not, it just means that it's uncovered. So from a literal sense, yes, it is absolutely can be thought of as a veil. Okay, it can be thought of as a veil or a covering, or that I'm going to actually use your I'm going to use your analogy. So it's like you existing in different dimensions, time, spaces across the multiverse in different form. And this is you in the current form, in your current state, in your conscious awareness, totally covering that part of you that is unconscious is totally covered and blocked from your view. So you are only aware of what you are seeing out here and not aware of what's taking place back here. But what's taking place back here is actually in helping and informing what is taking place out here. And then further out, that is the three-dimensional plane, that then is now turned on itself, reflecting back to the conscious mind what you have projected outward into it. But it didn't just start with the conscious mind. It started here behind this veil. And so if I'm able to remove the veil, I join the unconscious with the conscious and then am able to more intentionally and directly and deliberately determine the energy that I am releasing out to the universe, thereby changing the reflection that is presented back to me to more of an accurate representation of what I desire. I think that was good. And I don't know, y'all tell me if it was good, if you really got that, what I just said. Okay. So from all 3 points, from the unconscious to the conscious to the universe and nature, that we are the energy projected out, it travels through those channels. The unconscious informing the conscious releasing into the universe now responsible for giving us a 3-dimensional representation of what was projected forward. And so what I release as energy is returned to me in form and experience. But what I release in energy did not just begin with my conscious mind, but it began with my unconscious mind, which informs my conscious mind, which determines the energy I release, which determines what is reflected back to me. Thank you. Okay, good. If Moria says that it's the perfect analogy, then I must be doing something right. Thank you. Okay. And so that's why this interior self-reflection, soul cleansing is so vitally important for those of you who desire to accelerate your evolutionary journey as you exist in this 3-dimensional form, to evolve and awaken to your highest and best version of yourself by reconciling the unconscious and the conscious, so that you are able to be more intentional and deliberate. Those things that are buried within the unconscious or subconsciousness, those things that are buried in the shadows, buried in the darkness, when they are unearthed and allowed to bring forth the illuminating light of truth, it begins to then change your conscious awareness, which then informs your thoughts, words, and deeds, which then deliberately begins to reshape your experiences and your expressions and your encounters. So doing this interior work is vitally important, and we are aided by the the collection, amalgamation of this energy being present in these 2 months. Now, the energy is always present, but it is more prevalent and more intensified during these months. Why that is, I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I just know what I was told. I know what I saw from the divine, from the all of everything. And it really didn't even occur to me to ask why January and February. But it is what it is. Maybe you can investigate and find out the why. Okay? But that energy is coagulating, intensifying, amalgamated in these 2 months that make it easier to do this interior work. Now, it's always possible to do it in any other time, but it's easier. You'll find that it is easier during this time of collective amalgamation of energy that is present across the globe in this three-dimensional existence. Shadow work gives you the ability to be reconciled to the God in you. Yes, not only to the God in you. I think a better way of saying it is it causes you to be more reconciled to the God you are, to the divine you, your truest self. God in you, through you, as you, is you. Okay? And shadow work distills all of the multiple streams of information and experiences, distills it in to your conscious awareness and intensifies or creates a more potent version of your own divinity. It increases your potency. Okay? Are you following what I'm saying? All right. So when the unconscious becomes conscious, it increases the potency of your intentionality. Oh, that's good. Let me say that again. Great day. That just kind of flowed out. I like that. But when the unconscious becomes conscious, then it increases the potency of your intentionality, your deliberateness in creating a lived experience that you desire. So even the dark, shadowy parts of ourselves that we don't, that we are unconscious of, and that in some cases we deliberately choose to bury and relegate to the shadows. And that's where, the whole trauma thing comes in. Maybe you're pushing it away because you feel like it's the only way to protect yourself. And so, you're trying to hide from the trauma of the experience. And so you push it away from the conscious mind. But remember that energy, and everything is energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transmuted. Let me say that again. Energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transmuted. And so your pushing it away does not eliminate it, nor does it erase its effect. It is only through the perpetual transmutation of the energy that you're able to take that which abides in the shadow and release from it the illuminating, glorious light that aids you in creating the reality that you desire. You're not going to eliminate it, but because you hide it. You're not going to eliminate it by pushing it down and choosing not to be consciously aware of it, or to look at it, or to examine it, or to acknowledge it. Just because you don't acknowledge it doesn't mean that it disappears. Just because you choose to ignore it doesn't mean that it disappears. Just because you cover it with a Band-Aid doesn't make the scab go away. I a few months ago, I think I told you guys, I took a fall, and when I fell, I injured my knee, ripping the skin off down to the white meat. You could, and it was a bloody mess there. And so, in treating it, I, cleaned out the wound, spraying it with peroxide and things like that, and then putting gauze and bandages on there to catch the flow of blood that was coming out of it and to make it more tolerable to be able to walk around, especially if I was wearing blue jeans and stuff, not having it rub up against that exposed skin. But I understood that as long as I had the bandages on there, it would soak up the blood. It would protect it from anything rubbing up against it when I was wearing my jeans. But at night, when I removed the bandages, all of the scabbing that had began to take place underneath that would close up the wound got pulled off with the gauze and the bandages. And that the only way that it could truly heal is that I had to leave it open and exposed so that the light, the air, around it could begin to cause it not only to scab, but to heal and return to its original state before it had been wounded. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we all apply these band-aids of unconsciousness that we use to try and cover experiences, expressions, traumas, or other issues that we don't want to look at. We want to cover them so that no one can rub up against them and cause irritation or pain. But when you begin to pull back the band-aid, all of the things that you thought, the progress that had been made under the band-aid is ripped away, exposing the wound again. The only way for the wound to truly heal is to leave it open and exposed so that it can begin to take on the healing properties that come from the exposure that brings about healing. And exposure brings healing. That's what the shadow work is about. That's what this interior work, the affirmative prayer and meditation, focusing our attention on those areas is about. That's when you begin to transmute the energy into a form that serves you. That's how you return to the original state. Okay, in Psalms 23, a psalm you're all very familiar with, there's a part of it that says, He restoreth my soul. The word restoreth is the Hebrew term shub, which really means to return it to its original state of being. And that's what doing this interior shadow work is about. It's about putting into effect shub, returning the soul to its original state before the wounds, before the scars, before the markings, before the exterior influences, returning it to its most God-like state. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Okay. Wait, let me catch up on some of these comments. Kamaria says, do you think January and February lead up to the new year in March? So those months are vital for shedding the old things before you enter the new birthing. That's a real possibility. That's a real possibility. I think that it flows that way. And for some of you who might be a little confused about her saying the new year beginning in March, because remember that the new year only begins in January when we are looking at things from a Gregorian calendar, but that is not really the calendar of the earth and how it flows. But that's a whole nother conversation. But we're actually approaching what is the new year, which is in March. Whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's a very real possibility. Very real possibility. Okay. She said exposure brings healing. Right. Shadow work brings you face to face with your true self. It absolutely does. It does. Or it brings you face to face with the dark energy that has helped to formulate who you are choosing to be in this iteration of life. Okay? So, let me say this also about shadow work. Shadow work is unearthing, uncovering, revealing, and then re-imaging, reminding, recalibrating, transmuting that energy into form that serves you. Okay? It is an introspection. And I will say this, and a lot of people disagree with me on this. There are a number of practitioners that will disagree with me. That's okay. I don't mind having people disagree. From my perspective, while you are capable as an individual to do shadow work alone, it is most effective or effectuated when you are working with a trusted partner, leader, spiritual counselor, life coach who is a experienced practitioner to help guide you through the process. It is absolutely possible for you to do it alone. It is extremely difficult to do it alone, and in most cases you don't get the best results because we are by nature subjective when it comes to ourselves. We're not really willing to ask ourselves the probing questions. We are very subjective when it comes to ourselves. And so we'll give ourselves an out, give ourselves a way of getting off the hook and not really hold ourselves in that place of accountability and force ourselves to answer the questions. We won't even ask the questions. That's the reason why you have continued in the unconscious state that you're in right now. Those areas that's the reason they're buried. That's the reason they're pushed away. That's the reason why you're unconscious of them now, is because you buried them. You pushed them away. You covered them over, and you decided to leave them there in the closet. And yes, you can, through a monumental amount of effort, open that closet door and begin to unearth those things. But it is most effectuated, it is best effectuated by employing a trusted partner, a spiritual counselor, life coach, or leader that can help you walk through the process. Someone who is completely objective, who doesn't have a dog in the fight, okay, who will ask you the probing questions and continue to push you to answer those questions, not accepting the surface level response, the most immediate responses that come. Oh, well, that's because of, oh yeah, but this is, or the evasive answers of, well, I don't know. Of course you know. You may not be consciously aware, but you know everything. There's nothing that you don't know. You just have to be willing to know that you know, to dig into the unknown of your knowing and pull out what you have always known. And so having someone who is there to guide you through the process and keep pushing you toward digging deeper so that you can uncover and peel back those layers is the most effective way you to use the spiritual practice of shadow work, detoxifying. You can choose to try and do it on your own. That's fine. I question how effective that's going to be and how much progress you're going to make. But if you can connect with someone who is, again, a trusted partner, a spiritual leader, a life coach, spiritual life coach, or psychiatrist, preferably someone who has an understanding of spirituality, to guide you through the process. It's messy. It can be painful. It can be ugly because you're pulling off the scab and exposing everything to the light. Okay? That's one of the reasons why I offer life coaching myself. And I'm work with clients. As a matter of fact, I have a client I'm going to do some work with today. I offer that service to help guide people through that process, so you're able to drill down underneath the surface and get to that part of your being, that underlying knowing that has been unconsciously informing your consciousness and creating a reality for you that you are questioning. Why is this happening to me? Why does this keep going on? Why do I keep having this experience? Why is this cyclical thing that, it's like, it's got me going in circles. That's real old school. Okay. Why is this taking place? Okay. So shadow work helps you to put a why to your what. What is happening? Now, here is why. And if I can change the why, then I can change the what. Does that make sense? Are y'all understanding? Okay. Right, good. That's good. Kamaria says, I agree. You don't want to get stuck or not do the work. Right. I think that's what you meant to put in there, not do the work. Like, you don't want to get stuck where you just, you are still dealing with that surface level stuff and not really getting to the root. You're just mowing the grass and you're not really digging up the root. If all you do is keep mowing the grass, every rainy season, the weeds are going to come up again. You can't just keep mowing the grass. You have to dig down and unearth the roots. Okay? Or as scripture says, break up the fallow ground. Okay? Okay? That's what it's really about. That's what shadow work is really about. And there are a number, for a skilled practitioner, there are probing questions, prompts that can be given to you as you are going through the process in that session that causes you to begin to unlock those closed doors, those closed off experiences from not just traumatic experiences in this life, but across every iteration of life. You start to discover your experiences and expressions from other iterations of your being in your eternal beingness. You begin to unlock those experiences that you have relegated to deja vu. Okay, as well as unlock those experiences across those experiences of your existence across the multiverse in every time and space, every time and every space. Okay, that is what the shadow work does. Now you couple that with meditation, because meditation, of course, is one of the most effective tools in tuning out the noise and the hustle and bustle and distractions of this three-dimensional existence, and allowing you to journey inward and give your attention and focus to the interior beingness of you, of your divinity. And it unlocks your interior senses and allows them now to begin to flow, not just outward, but inward, and pull back those covers. Okay? What you give your attention to, you give intention to. Okay? So meditation allows you to open your conscious mind to the unconscious, so that you are able to unlock those interior senses. And we've talked about those 6 interior senses before, to now not just flow outward, but to flow inward and begin to do the investigatory work necessary to peel back those onions, those layers of the onion. And then affirmative prayer. Because and when I say affirmative prayer, what's often labeled or called prayer in religious circles is really just begging, and it comes from a victim mentality. Pull me out, oh Lord, if you don't help me, and if you don't work this out for me, Jesus, you got to come fix it. And oh Lord, I had your pole tied, broken down, serving empty pitcher before a full fountain, and all that other nonsense. That's victimology. Affirmative prayer, effective, fervent prayer is affirmative prayer. Remember, the effective, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. Now, I need you to do flip mode with me for a minute. If the text or the principle in James is the effective and fervent prayer of the righteous avails much, flip side is, if there is an effective and fervent prayer, then there is also ineffective and unfervent prayer, because you can't have one without the other. What is effective if there is no ineffective? What is fervent if there is no unfervent? So then not all prayer is effective or fervent. There are prayers or conversations or dialogues that are ineffective and unfervent, because they are not steeped or based in truth. What makes prayer effective and fervent is affirmative. When we pray the prayer of faith. Faith is always in the affirmative, calling those things that be not as though they were. It is the substratum, the essence, the foundation of our expectation, providing us infallible proof that what we expect really does exist. Or in biblical terms, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And so what makes prayer effective and fervent is when we are affirmative in our prayer. That is the prayer of faith. Are y'all following what I'm saying? So these 3 spiritual practices, shadow work, meditation, and affirmative prayer, are the tools that you want to use and employ, especially during this particular season or period of time, to do the interior work so that you are able to unearth those hidden parts of your being. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, okay, are you going to tell us, give us the mechanics of how to do shadow work? Well, I could probably give you some mechanics. I could probably give you some step-by-steps. But again, I don't want to encourage you to do it individually. I want to encourage you to employ a trusted friend, confidant, leader, spiritual counselor, life coach, someone that you are willing to trust with helping to guide you through the process, because that is the most effective manner. You can definitely employ on a regular basis the work of meditation and affirmative prayer on your own. Matter of fact, anyone coaching you is going to encourage you to do so. But the actual shadow work itself, the uncovering, the unearthing, is most effective with someone else who can guide you through the process. So what I will encourage you to do, and like I said, I offer life coaching. If you like to employ me as your life coach, I'd be more than happy to do so. But if not, then to connect with someone that you are willing to trust to help guide you through the process. I prefer that you not attempt to do this on your own. And so I'm not going to lay out a mechanics or a strategy for you. I'd rather give that time and energy as I have this morning to explaining what it is and why it's necessary, rather than give you the mechanics or try and formulate a mechanism for you. I prefer to encourage you to connect with someone to help guide you through the process. And please eradicate this idea that really emanates from the religious circles, both Christianity, Islam, and so on and so on and so forth, that whoever the person, your trusted person is, has to be this picture of perfection. That's nonsense. Okay? Because we are all constantly, if you are working to evolve, constantly peeling back the onion. Okay? So none of us have reached the place where the onion is completely peeled. I don't care how profound the guru is, the spiritual teacher or leader or pastor or whoever you decide to talk to is. Okay? You can't expect perfection, if you will, from them. They don't have to be. Okay, we're all working through these processes. They just need to be someone you trust and respect enough to open yourself to, and they will guide you through the process. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Toya says, I am worth the investment in my thoughts. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay? Abso-freaking-lutely. That's right. Growth and evolution is perpetual. So none of us are ever at the place where we are no longer growing or evolving. And it's like, well, when you stop growing and evolving, then you're dead. But no, because death isn't a reality. All we do is transition from one existence to another, and the evolutionary process continues even after the transition from one form to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It is ongoing, the perpetual transmutation of energy. Perpetual, infinite transmutation of energy. So you as spirit are energy that is perpetually being transmuted. Okay? From faith to faith, from glory to glory, from life to life, from experience to experience, from place and space, consistently. So I want to encourage you to make that connection. And I'm glad that, Toya, let me put your comment back up. Let me put that back up. She says, I am worth the investment in my thoughts. I'm glad she used the terminology investment, because this is a in a labor-intensive work. And so you can't and shouldn't have the expectation that whoever you entrust to guide you through the process should do so for free, because it requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of time. And it's valuable, and it's worth you investing in. Okay, you invest money in getting new hair, doing your nails and your feet done. You invest in different outfits and getting your wig done. You're investing in a new suit, new tie, new shoes, new this, new car, new whip, new that. Okay, invest in a new you. Be willing to invest in a new you. You're worth the investment. You are worthy of the investment. All right, so thank you. Oh, wow. Kimoria says this was a conversation well worth having, and I appreciate she said this is a very necessary conversation. It is. It definitely is, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to have the conversation with you today. Like, again, especially with the period that we are in right now. Excuse me. The period that we are in right now. And no, the energy does not disappear after February. It just dissipates. It lessens. It won't be as intense. Why that is, I don't know. But it's just the truth. This is the time to really begin that journey. And I want to encourage each of you who are watching to begin that journey now, to do the hard work. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it can be painful. Healing most times is. Okay? But you are presented with the perfect opportunity to heal something, to create something, to experience something on a much deeper level. And one that is way more enjoyable. And increase your potency in manifesting the life that you desire. All right. Any other questions? I'm getting ready to sign off. This has been good. This has been really, really good. Any other questions or comments? Yes, that's good. You have been on one this morning, Kimoria. I love when you're on, man. She says, this is the time of refreshing from the presence of the Lord. Absolutely. 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 Man, if you told religious folk that that's what that text really meant, they'd be like, what? But it is. This is the time of refreshing that is mentioned in the Bible. This is that time of refreshing, renewal, awakening. Okay? This is it. This is it. This is it. Any other questions or comments? Put it in I don't know why I have such a delay on my end. You guys will comment on your end, and then it takes a while for it to pop up on my end. That's why I'm kind of lagging here and just waiting for comments to come up. I haven't figured out why that is yet. Once I figure it out, I'll fix it, because I'd like to get more real time comments. Probably maybe if I actually used just YouTube instead of using the software that I'm using, which allows me to broadcast across multiple channels. But maybe since I'm only broadcasting on YouTube now, if I use just YouTube, I get the more immediate responses. I don't know, because I'm still torn as about whether I'm going to return to Facebook or not. If I do, it won't be this month. It may be next month. It may not even be next month. It might be March. I don't even know when it is. Anyway, if I decide to return to it. Okay. Toya, I'm trying to figure out what you meant by that first part of your statement. I have more the grass for this year. More the grass. It's time to truly give the same love I have given to everyone else. I have to give the same love to me. Do you mean more to grasp this year? That's what you meant? It was just a typo? I think that's what you meant. I'm not sure. Type it again and it'll help me understand that. Okay. Yes, your why is the fuel to your next. Yes. Yes, Teresa. When you can understand your why, it changes your what. When you get an understanding of your why, it changes your what? Your experiences, your encounters, your three-dimensional experience. Getting an understanding of your why. Why am I creating this reality? Why? And all of my visible representations, all of the things being reflected back to me by the universe and by nature that life keeps bringing to me is an indicator of what's going on in my interior. And if you are not seeing a visible representation of what you are consciously putting forth, then you have to recognize it's not random. So if it's happening, it is an indicator that there is an unconscious or underlying energy that needs to be uncovered and addressed and transmuted. You don't have accidents. None of us do. We don't have coincidences. We don't. Okay? We're not having things just randomly happen. Okay? The universe, all of nature, is that copy machine that is just duplicating what we're putting out and presenting it back to us in multiple forms, experiences, and encounters. So with that knowledge, then we stop saying, why me? And we start understanding, okay, what is going on in me that's creating this experience? That's good. Oh, okay. That first part of I have mowed the grass. Yes. Okay. So what you were saying up here is I have mowed the grass for years. It's time to truly give the same love I have given to everyone else, to give that to yourself. I have to give that same love to me. That's what, okay. Yeah. And all of us, we're taught to mow the grass. Deal with what can be seen. Deal with the immediate problem. Deal with whatever issue is visible. Deal with the thing that everybody is pointing the finger at or that I can visibly see, and not deal with the underlying root that's causing that weed to grow up, that's causing the grass to flower. If I want to deal with what the outcomes, the eventual outcomes that I'm experiencing, I have to get down to the seed. I got to get down underneath and dig up the seed, the root of it, so I'm able to discover the why. That's really good. Yes. Yes. Okay. You rewrote it. She says, I've mowed the grass for years. Now it's time to give that same love I've given to everyone else. It's time to give the same love to myself. Yes. Okay. Self-love is more than just getting manicures, pedicures, and massages. Okay. It's about doing the hard work to be whole. To be whole, to be healed, to be healthy. Doing the hard work. That's good. Yes. All right, everybody. I am so glad that you tuned in and dealt with all the technical difficulties and the delay and everything else, that you didn't give up on us. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of this conversation. Some new things are on the horizon I'm working on right now. Trying to develop, I'm trying to get an understanding of how it all works now, the whole podcasting thing, and develop a podcast that you'll be able to subscribe to and listen to and carry it with you as you're riding on, down the road or on the airplane or doing other things of that sort. I have no clue about podcasting, but I've got somebody who's helping me to get an understanding of how the whole thing works and maybe how to get it all set up and get it going. And as soon as we're able to do that, I will definitely bring all of that information to you. I'm always looking for new and innovative ways to be able to help all of us as we go through this evolutionary process. I want to be as effective and efficient as I possibly can. And so I'm trying to learn about this. This seems to be like a very effective and popular tool that people have gotten into. And so I'm trying to learn as much about it as I possibly can so that we can get on board. Also working to update all of our equipment so that we don't have these kind of technical difficulties that we had today. So I got a lot on my plate to work on, but I appreciate your patience, your kindness, and for those of you who support this platform and support the work that we're doing. Thank you for those of you who tithe. Thank you for those of you who just give generously and support us. Thank you for those of you who pray affirmatively for us all the time. Thank you for those who take the time to text me encouraging words and thoughts. And I really I want you to know how much all of that means to me. I appreciate every bit of it. Maybe some of you don't have money to give, or you have money to give, but you choose not to give money. You rather just give verbal support, or just by tuning in to the platform when we're on. I appreciate you just as much as I appreciate the person who gives $1,000 or $1,500 or $10,000. I appreciate everything because you don't have to do anything, any of it. So whatever you do, I'm very appreciative and I'm very grateful. Thank you. For those of you who'd like to take the opportunity to support today, you can, in a monetary form, you can do so by using the information that's on your screen right now. That's our Cashapp as well as Zelle. And whatever monetary gift that you decide to give, we appreciate those of you who are tithers and will tithe to the work. I appreciate you. You can use these two platforms or vehicles to do that today, but do it today. Do it in this moment. Every gift that you give helps us to be able to build upon the platform we have and expand it and help it to grow. Thank you so much for tuning in and for being a part of this. Share this video with your friends and families, as well as those who may consider themselves your enemy, because you know you don't have enemies. They may think of themselves as an enemy, but you know they're not really an enemy. There, you don't have enemies. Everything and everybody's for you. Nothing is against you. Thank you. Take the opportunity to do that for me, and make sure you go out today and have an absolutely wonderful, stupendous day. All right. I'll see you next time.